I'm really excited to show you what I just purchased. I'm gonna grab it out of my garage, set it up kind of where you can see it a little bit better, and explain why I made this purchase. So I went out and purchased this little beauty right here. You're looking at an Old Town Discovery 119, which means it's 11 feet, 9 inches long. You can see there's only one spot to sit down, which makes it a solo canoe. Many of you have subscribed to my channel because of my fishing content, and more specifically my fishing content in a kayak and how I use a kayak effectively and cheaply to be successful on the water. And so the main reason that I purchased this Old Town Discovery 119 is simply because I need something that's going to do everything that I need it to do. For example, this is 12 feet long. My kayak was only 10. This is 32 inches across. My kayak, I believe, was slightly more narrow than that. If you only fish and only need something that floats for fishing, a fishing kayak like the Lifetime Teton is perfect for you. I had that thing rigged with a locator, a really nice transducer that goes on and off the track. Obviously there's room for your crate in the back, rod holders. I had a really nice anchor trolley on there to position me where I wanted to set up on some fish. However, there's a lot of things that limited me too. So if you only fish, keep the kayak. If you bought a kayak because of you watch my videos, I'm not abandoning the idea. It's just, I just do so much more than fish, and I need something that's mobile that I can haul a deer in, for example. If I shoot a deer in a kayak, there's no way I'm getting that thing across the river unless I put it in the kayak and walk next to the kayak. If I shoot a deer with this vessel right here, I can easily put it up here and there's space for it. I also want to start getting back into duck hunting. You probably didn't know this, but duck hunting is my favorite thing to do. I like that more than fishing, more than deer hunting, more than just about anything in the outdoors. It's my favorite outdoor sport. And if you're a duck hunter, this is a really good vessel for it because you can fashion some kind of blind. It is green, so it's semi-camo. Obviously you have to do more to it than that, but usually when I duck hunt, I'll just shove this off, tip it over on shore somewhere and sit on shore where I'm more camouflaged. But this is a great thing to get you there. You can haul a dog in here, all of your decoys, your waders, your blind bag, all of the things you need, a shotgun in a case. I mean, that's going to fit perfectly in here. One thing that you'll find when you research Old Town solo canoes is that this one doesn't pop up very often. It's not nearly as common as something else we're going to talk about. This is the Discovery 119. If you type in Old Town Canoe or Old Town Solo Canoe to be more specific, you're going to find that it's the Solo Sportsman canoe. Like if you had a hybrid situation between a canoe and a kayak, you would end up getting the Old Town Sportsman canoe. It's a lot nicer in a way for hunting ducks. The Solo Sportsman, it's much more kayak-y, so to speak. In other words, there's like a kayak style seat in there, not a canoe style seat. It can't hold as much weight. So that's why I got this one. I need stability. I need to be able to go in bigger water. I need to be able to put a deer in there, maybe a dog in the back, your decoys in front, or vice versa. I need this space to be well-rounded for duck hunting, deer hunting, fishing, and camping. I've got a camping trip coming up in a couple weeks that I'm really excited about because it's been a long time since I've been able to do that. And this is the perfect thing for that. A kayak just doesn't really work for that. And please don't misunderstand me. I loved my fishing kayak. That thing was a fish catching machine. I caught thousands of fish in that thing over the last 4 years. I used that thing all the time. I was even so committed to putting a trolling motor mount on that using a lithium battery, which is a lot lighter. That was one of my summer projects for this year, but I just kept contemplating for the last 2 years about getting something a little better for my needs that I could use by myself that I wouldn't need another person with to use. For example, got this really long 17.5-foot canoe right here. That is great for putting a trolling motor on. I did that in my last video. That is great for 2 people, but if you get any wind and you're out there by yourself, let alone try to camouflage this for duck hunting, that's not gonna work. Obviously, it's really big inside for camping for 2 people and putting a deer in there or whatever you need to haul around. That's just not gonna work in a solo situation. I need something that was bigger than a kayak, but still functioned as a kayak. You can get in really, really skinny water with this, just like you can in a kayak. But you can't do that with a boat, and a boat's hard to portage. This thing, I can literally just slide across the woods. I can tip it over and pick it up. I've done it many times so far since I purchased it. Now the specs on this canoe, it's 12 feet long, well 11 foot 9 inches, but basically 12 feet long. 32 inches across, so it's much more stable, can hold a lot more weight. It can hold 100 more pounds than my fishing kayak. 100 more. 100 more pounds is a big deal for me, because if I want to put a dog in there someday, or all my hunting equipment, or a deer, or all my camping equipment, that extra 100 pounds is really going to help. The other thing I like to talk about is this is actually 3 pounds lighter than my kayak. My kayak, I believe, was 53 pounds, I believe. I'm gonna have to double check. This is only 50. Now, once you have it loaded down with gear, of course, it's much more than that. But it's going to be able to pull through the woods just as easy as my kayak was. I do have a kayak cart. Here's a thumbnail to the video I made for that. Here is the video link if you want to watch that. Otherwise, it can be in the description. It works either way. I think of this as a kayak that can hold a lot more stuff. I also really like the idea that this is a clean slate. You can do whatever you want to it. With a fishing kayak, a lot of times the rod holders are in place, and most people don't even use it for rods. They put their fishing net in there or whatever else. But this is just, it is what it is. On a kayak, a lot of times the tracks on the side, you can't move them. You can install new ones where you want them, but the ones that come with the kayak are there. If there's a water bottle holder, that's there. It's molded into the plastic. It sounds like I'm dissing kayaks, and I'm not, because that kayak I had for the last 4 years really served me well, and I did a lot of fun things with it. I traveled to a lot of cool lakes, and I caught a lot of really nice quality fish in that kayak. But I do expect this to do the exact same thing, only more, because I want to use it for hunting and camping, which I really couldn't do with the kayak that I had. Not to mention, if I want to take one of my kids here, they could easily sit in there and we're totally safe. You can have 2 people in here, but it's only recommended to have 1 paddler, as you can see, because of where the seat's located. Another cool feature about solo canoes is that you can use a kayak paddle like I have here. This is the same paddle I used with my kayak before. And you can also use a single paddle like this, depending on your paddling style. Cool feature is that you can take this canoe seat off of here, which I have on this larger canoe, and you can put the canoe seat on here for more comfort. If it's really hot, I wouldn't recommend it. You want a little bit more airflow, if you know what I'm talking about, but you do have that feature. You can put rod holders on here. I've got rod holders that clamp on. They're super mobile. You can put them wherever you want. There's no drilling involved. There's no drill setups for anchor trolleys. There's no drill setups for fish locators. You've got a lot of options here on something that's just basically a blank canvas. The one downside about this, in my opinion, is that these solo canoes are pretty pricey. I've seen them up to $3,000 for really, really nice ones out of Canada. This is a middle of the road one. This was twice the price of my kayak. So let's talk about how I might have this set up potentially for a fishing trip, or any kind of trip, but mostly for fishing. So the seat's gonna go on here. That's pretty basic. And then honestly, you've got tons and tons of options with this. Like I said, it's a blank canvas. Once you get that seat cranked on, you can set everything behind you or in front of you. So let's say I'm taking this paddle that day. My fishing bag goes up here, everything I need to fish, my little tackle tray for the day, my little dry storage, my cell phone keys. That's gonna go up here, clipped onto there. Easy access to reach it. Still got a lot of space, you guys, up in this area right here with something that maybe you wouldn't use as much. Maybe that's where your dog goes. Maybe that's where your dry bag goes. Who knows? I often take a cooler, especially if I'm keeping fish. That's important. If not, I do have a stringer right here, a bigger one for pike or something, and a smaller one for panfish that I can use if I'm going super lightweight. I don't want to bring a cooler with ice in it. And again, got all this space right here. My kayak, you put a cooler in the back, you put that bag up front, most of your storage is used already, and I have all this space for my legs, all this space back here. Yeah, it's 2 feet longer, but just the way that canoes are set up in comparison to kayaks, for my needs specifically, camping and hunting and fishing, this is a much better setup. I also invested in a much better life jacket that's specifically for kayaking and canoeing. You can see that it's got that mesh on the lower back and the pad up here so you can sit against your seat, either in a kayak or a canoe, and you're more comfortable. You don't have this big pad underneath. It's just much nicer. I spent a good amount of money on this. Onyx, they make really nice life jackets. It's much safer too. It's just a better bit of equipment. So that obviously would be somewhere in there. And I'm comparing it with just general life jackets you'd get just to have in the boat with you. Another thing I forgot to mention is a kayak crate, which should fit in this area down here. If it doesn't fit there, it'll certainly fit back there. And again, I'll probably just put it on here with some gear ties or something something that's easy to get on and off. I want this to be as mobile as possible. Anything going on, you can easily take off, like the seat, rod holders. I might put a cup holder up here, the transducer. I want everything to be on and off, no drilling, just super simple. Of course, this is my fishing rod here. I usually only take 1 or 2 rods when I go in a canoe or in a kayak, just for transport reasons. You know, you put this up here, put that along the seat there, you put your other one there, both right here, whatever, face it the other way. You've got a lot of options and a lot of space. You can put your minnow bucket on here. Notice that I did not put an anchor trolley on here. I'm gonna have to figure out some system using this handle right here, up to here, and up to here to have a no drill anchor trolley. I'll probably make one specifically for this canoe, which is basically the same thing as putting it on a larger canoe like that one, or a fishing kayak like I used to have and perhaps you do have. So this was an investment. This was something that I look forward to using. I mean, Old Town, they make good stuff. They always have. I would have to say that 70% of the time when I'm hunting or fishing, I'm alone. I kind of prefer it that way because I can concentrate a lot more. I can go exactly where I want to go. I can fish for exactly how long I want to fish for. And a lot of people, maybe you like it, but a lot of other people prefer a conventional method of fishing, like going to a public landing that's improved. There's a parking lot, there's a whole bunch of other people, there's people jet skiing. The entire lake is filled with docks. It's not my style, let's just put it that way. I like going in the middle of nowhere, seeing no docks. I like to see a shoreline as natural as possible. And this vessel right here allows me to do that. Now you can use this on a very popular public lake or river, but I bought this to be away and secluded so I can do those types of things in a mobile fashion. A lot of people don't like fishing that way. Because I mentioned that this is an investment. This isn't something I thought about for a weekend and went out and bought. This is something that I sold things to get, and I wanted to make sure that this was the right vessel for me. So I did quite a bit of research. There's a lot of things I could have bought that are similar to this but are not this, and I decided to land on this one for the various reasons I shared with you earlier. Because of that, I purchased this real nice, it's by Lost Creek, it's a good brand, this real nice pulley system for storing it in the garage. You can see right there the straps go underneath the kayak or the canoe. You pull it up with one cord. You're not trying to balance 2 ropes at one time and your canoe's lifted up into the rafters in your garage. I want this off the ground. I want it protected. I'm not just going to tip it over like this aluminum canoe or my aluminum boat. You can flip that over outside, upside down, leave it out all winter, doesn't matter. This I'm going to treat much more carefully because I want this to last for a very long time. Another question you might have is, why would I purchase that little canoe when I've got this big one? You can put a motor on here, it gives you all these options, you can take another person with you. Well, it's just too big in most situations that I go fishing in. I want something I can easily move by myself, and this does move fairly easily, but if you've got a battery, if you're trolling, if you're in a bigger body of water, especially with another person, this is what you want. So having a large canoe like this is almost 18 feet long, and having a smaller thing like this, either a kayak or a canoe like this, that's the perfect situation. You want both depending on the situation you're in. If I could only have one thing to fish, hunt, camp, whatever, yeah, I would choose that because it gives you the option of taking people with you. But if you notice here, this sticks out really far in the back of my truck. Because the back end's fairly level there. It's quite a big difference, and honestly that might only be a couple inches wide. I'd have to measure to make sure. Like I said, these is 32 inches wide, but you have that additional 6 feet up here on the front, and it makes a big difference. Now the surprising thing is that aluminum canoe is only 20 pounds heavier than this one. You only fish and hunt and camp by yourself, get a solo canoe, in my opinion. It's worth it. Now you saw this 17.5-foot aluminum canoe in the back of the pickup right there, and how far it stuck out. Let's put this one in and see how far it sticks out. Check that out. Maybe 1.5 feet behind my tailgate at 12 feet. If you straighten it out, it would come back much farther right here, right there. So keeping it at an angle but not too far out to the side is probably ideal. Maybe putting it like that. This could easily go on top of your car too, so keep that in mind too. If you don't have a pickup truck like this, flip it over, get some pads. They make pads. I have some. I guess I could show you. Pad there, and there. Flip it over. You can put it basically in any size car including a truck if that's how you choose to transport this. Please check out my other videos right here for kayak angling, how you can mod a kayak for fishing locators, so on and so forth. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it if you're a backwoods angler like I am. Be mobile, be safe, be smart.